Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Italy Travel Podcast. I'm Nathaniel Mellor.
And I'm Darcy Melton.
And today we are continuing to talk about renting a car, driving, and all the sort of road things you need to know in Italy that might be important on your trip. Mm-hmm. Before we get started, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has been listening, who has been commenting, who has been leaving reviews, who's been following. If you'd like to do, well, any of those things besides listening, I assume you are already listening, you can do so on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Likewise, massive thank you to Amanda and Brian and Ariel and Austin, our Rigatoni tier members on Patreon. If you'd like to support us, you can do so. There's a link in the description, patreon.com/the Italy Travel Podcast, or you can just find us on Patreon. Lastly, we have a website, onlyabag.com, where you can find articles, mostly tons of articles written by Darcy and myself, usually about how to plan the perfect trip and have a trip and what to do, what to see, where to eat, all the good stuff on onlybag.com, where you can also send us a message if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thanks for listening.
So I guess we're just going to jump straight into it, or do you have any questions?
I have 3 questions. Two are kind of one question. So,
Ooh, I like that.
What is, if we're talking about manual versus automatic cars, so cars where you have to use a stick shift versus ones where you just, drive, neutral,
I love it.
reverse. What is the
Holy
most
Trinity.
what is the most common in Italy?
I would say manual.
Okay.
And I will talk about that later, but manual for sure.
Okay. And by the way, I know the answers to all these questions, but these were questions I had whenever we first visited. So I want to get them boom, boom, boom out to you guys so you have them top of mind. Okay.
I like that.
So manual is the most common here in Italy. But can you rent an automatic car if you're renting a car?
You can.
Okay.
Actually, believe it or not. And that was the last question?
That was my 2-part questions. Oh. My third question is, if I get a ticket for parking,
okay,
or if I get a speeding ticket, a traffic ticket, a ZTL ticket perhaps, do I have to pay that if I'm not an Italian citizen?
That is actually a great question. We will talk about that. I have no clean segues for these.
Yeah, but is it yes or no?
I'm saying yes.
Okay.
I would say yes, you should pay your tickets, be a good citizen. The actual answer is not really. I know.
I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Oh, okay. It's a bit of a toss up. I will get into that soon, and I am not encouraging y'all to not pay your tickets. Please pay your tickets. Italy is struggling for money. They need anything they can get. You know what? Yeah, let's start with fines instead of starting with whatever I was going to start with.
Okay.
So there are a lot of ways to get fines. There are the Virgilius speeding ticket fines. There's the
which is the cameras on the highway, like we talked about in the previous episode. Police officers and law enforcement people don't usually stop you when you're speeding. You will you'll be ticketed by the camera system.
Exactly. And that will be sent to the rental car agency, who will then pass it on to you. There's the ZTL tickets. There are parking tickets that are a little bit more typically immediate, but they might not always be. Some places do, again, just send a ticket to your house and in the mail. I mean, if you lived here. If you don't live here, it will send it to the rental car agency.
And then they will send it to you.
And then they will send it to you for a fun little, usually like 40 or 50 euro fee to make.
On top of it?
On top of it.
Wow.
Oh yes. They had to do a lot forwarding me the email that I got a ticket. So it's, as I mentioned in Wednesday's episode, some people when they come, you'll see this on Reddit or TripAdvisor, they say, honestly, I don't pay attention to the ZTLs and this and that. I just drive. I get a couple tickets in the mail. I pay them. It's not a big deal. I just chalk it up to,
like a travel expense.
It's about $100, $150 for a ZTL ticket. So keep that in mind. It's not like a $10 ticket.
Is that how much we paid when we got a ZTL ticket?
We paid $115, I think. Yeah. I know.
Not that I don't understand money, y'all. That was just that was a trying time in my life, so I think I blocked out a lot of it.
It's also like there was one of those tickets, like any ticket, where if you pay now it's $115. If you wait, you're paying like $230 or $250 or whatever it is. And yeah, we had to also. This is now the internet like exists in Italy, and everybody firmly is aware of this. But 6 years ago, it didn't apparently. So you had to like send them. I think we sent them a check to Perugia or something ridiculous. It was a money order. It was like, oh my God.
That was a time.
Yeah, that was a time. So this too can be you. So I mentioned that you have to pay the tickets, but not really. What does this mean? Well, and people ask this all the time on Reddit. If I'm never going back to Italy, do I really have to pay this speeding ticket? Do I really have to pay the ZTL ticket? I'm never going back. I was only going once. How it normally works is that the whoever gave you the ticket, the prefecture, the carabinieri, the city, the town, whoever owns the cameras, whoever, wherever you broke the law, they will send a ticket to the rental car agency. The rental car agency will pass it on to you. If you do not pay, the prefecture or whoever will send you another one, letting you know you now owe more, up until I think it's up to 3 times. At the third one, you owe the most. If you still have not paid, which, by the way, if you are appealing this ticket, if you're like, that was definitely not me, or like not you driving, but like that was not your car or something like that, or you were going 1 kilometer an hour over the speed limit, and again, as I mentioned, there's a 5 kilometer an hour grace limit. So something like that, don't pay, because as soon as you pay, you admit guilt and the case is closed. If you're going to appeal the ticket, you have to do so without paying the ticket within 60 days from you receiving the ticket, not from whenever it was issued.
Can you appeal it when you're not in Italy? Like if you've gone back to your home country?
You can, actually.
Oh, okay.
But you almost will certainly need an Italian lawyer.
Okay.
You can.
So depending on your situation, it might be worth it to pay the ticket, or it might be worth it to get a lawyer?
It kind of depends on probably how expensive the ticket is.
Okay.
And if you genuinely had if you were genuinely not at fault, but either way, you will have to pay a lawyer. So it's also, I could not find anything in which, like the Italian driver's license system works on a point-based system. So every fine and fee docks points from your driver's license. I think everybody starts at like 18, it goes up to 30, and then it can go down to 0. So every time you break a fine or whatever, you get docked some points. And this is obviously not the case for like a driver's license in the United States. And I don't think it affects your driver's license in the United States or even your insurance in the United States at all.
Okay.
So again, that's where I think where people's questions come into play of like, do I really have to pay? It's like, how do they know? What they will do is typically send it to an international debt collection agency. They will just dog you. They will find you.
Okay.
In the States, this usually means a hit on your credit score. Or anywhere with credit scores, this will mean a hit on your credit score, because if you genuinely don't pay, this will be an outstanding debt, and it will either affect your credit score or it will show up as an unpaid debt on your credit score. Okay. Not a great thing. The other thing they can do, especially if you booked your rental car through a card, is they can just say, hey, Europcar or Avis or whatever it is, we want our money, so we're going to take it from you because you gave that car to, John Smith, and we want our money from John Smith. So they will charge the rental agency, who will then pay the ticket for you. But then they will either blacklist you, sometimes for a certain period of time, sometimes permanently, or make it so you have to pay them next time you rent a car from them. There are stories of like them sort of spreading your name to all the companies. So everybody has the name, not stories, but like, hey, this person owes us money. Don't let them rent a car until you get paid. But if you are in a place where you're like, I'm never going to rent a car again, I don't live in a country with a credit score system, or I do, but I don't really care about my credit score. It was a one-off thing. I'm never going to pay it. Then technically you don't have to. It's the same thing as like,
those are more real repercussions than I realized that there would be.
Well, it's the same as like not paying like a credit card.
Right.
If that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like you don't have to. I mean, the worst thing they're going to do is send it to a debt collection agency. And then if you still don't pay, they're just like, well, you have bad credit now. And you're like, cool. I also have like, I don't know, a TV. Like, I mean, they can sue you for sure, right? They can sue you for the money.
This is not advice, by the way.
This is terrible advice. If it is advice, this is awful advice. This is some
don't do this. It's just that
advice.
This is something one could do.
Yeah.
That it's not a good choice.
I guess you can't buy a TV, but if you bought experiences, they can't take back your experiences. I mean, they could take back the TV, but like, so I mean, it's the same thing. Like, there's only so much they can do. It's not
It's not like a jailable.
It's not
offense?
a jailable offense.
Okay.
And the same thing too. If you get a speeding ticket in Italy and then you leave Italy in the car, no one's stopping you at the border to say, hey,
you've stolen a car.
No, I mean, don't steal a car. I meant like, no one's stopping you at the border to pay the speeding ticket.
Oh, okay.
Don't steal a car. I feel like those ads, you wouldn't steal a car. Why would you download a movie kind of thing? And everyone's like, I would definitely, or you wouldn't download a car, I think was the thing.
Right.
And everyone's like, are you kidding me? Yeah. I would totally download a car if I could.
This is going off the rails.
I'm so sorry. This is what happens when you start with fines. I'm all over the place. So in essence, yes, pay your fines for sure. It can very quickly snowball into something much bigger. Like I said, don't panic too much because you have like, I think it's 30 days before the next tier of expense shows up. But it is from when you receive your letter in the mail, not from when they send it. Because sometimes they will send it and you're like,
and it takes a long time to get to you. Okay.
It's from whenever you receive it. I assume they know, it's not certified, but I assume they know like when it's been delivered. I assume they track it or something. So from when I guess they see it's been tracked, then because some people will say like I went home and then I had like 2 letters in the mail saying I owed money. But for us, it was 4 months later, I think. So it might not always be immediate.
If you have that, I'm sure it exists in other countries with the postal service in the US, you can get like emails with images of what they're sending to you that day. So that can be proof of when it actually arrived at your house.
It can, but keep in mind if you have on your driver's license an old address, they will send it to the old address.
Oh,
and then you really might be in trouble because then it will look like you just are straight up trying to dodge the ticket.
Okay.
So if you have an old address on your driver's license, I would recommend getting it changed before renting a car in Italy.
That's smart. Dang, that is something I would not have thought of.
I know. These people, crazy out here.
Okay.
I say that as somebody who has it's 2 wrong addresses on 2 wrong driver's license. So one day I'll change those.
Your US one is wrong?
No, I guess it's not. It was for years and I finally changed it because it's like they needed proof of all these things. I'm like, I don't have proof where I live. How do you meet? It's like my name's not even on the lease. How do I get proof? It's the whole thing. Cause I think your name was on the lease, not mine. So I couldn't figure out a way to change my address. So let's talk alcohol.
Okay.
This is the segue for the ages.
A wild episode. Okay.
It is all over the place, y'all. In Italy, we've talked about this before. There is a lower blood alcohol content level than there is like in the United States, for example. I don't know UK, Australia, Canada, anywhere else is, but I know that in the United States, it's a 0.08% BAC, blood alcohol content, which is the same as a 0.8 grams per liter.
Okay.
And then that's the United States, which apparently is a pretty hefty limit.
Seems like it is, yeah.
In Italy, it is a 0.05% BAC or a 0.5 grams per liter.
Okay.
I know this is a lot of numbers. I even throw a percentage sign in there. I am very sorry.
But 5 here versus 8 in the US.
If you're from Utah, interestingly enough, it's the same. Utah's blood alcohol.
0.5 per liter?
Yeah, in Utah as it is in Italy. So
okay.
If you're from Utah, do what you've been doing. If you're not from Utah, don't do the same thing.
I would say if you're driving in Italy, don't drink before you drive.
I don't know how it works in the States. I've never been pulled over in the States. I've never been pulled over for drinking in the States. I have heard from some people that kind of depending on the officer you get, there's a little bit of, just drive a little straighter from now on. Just don't weave so much. I think my dad was once pulled over and the officer just told him like, just lower the bottle. To be fair, this was in the 80s. But I'm like, what do you mean lower the bottle?
Oh my gosh.
So it's a different country. Here it tends to be a lot more serious, like in the sense that there isn't like, when you're over, it's a big issue type situation. So a lot of times people will simply not risk it. As you mentioned, you just said, don't drink. A lot of people will not risk it. They might have like a sip or two, but they do not want to find out that their blood alcohol is sky high because they forgot to have lunch. Now they had a sip of wine on an empty stomach and no. This is not a country of large people. So if like one drink is like, that's it, you're at the limit. As somebody who I'm very much at the limit with one drink. I feel like a large person. I don't think my liver or kidney does anything when it encounters alcohol. I feel like I should not drive after.
Your liver and your kidney are like, woohoo!
Yeah, they're partying before the rest of me.
Well, half a glass of wine.
It is awful. So don't drink and then drive. Also, we've mentioned this before. If you are hiring a car with a driver, they are not legally allowed to drink at all. In the sense of they can't have any alcohol in their system whatsoever while they are driving. So most of them will not drink during the driving season. I mentioned this if you are like, oh, we hired a driver to take us to vineyards because none of us want to drink or not drink at a vineyard. And so you hired like a driver, and you might think like, oh, you come on, we'll get you a glass of wine. We'll do it together, because sometimes they just kind of wait in the car and wait for you. They are not being like polite when they say no. They just legally cannot do it without risking.
Like they won't have a glass of wine with dinner the night before they drive. They will.
Exactly.
A lot of drivers do, like Nathaniel said, they drive for a season. So like all of the summer, they're not drinking one drop.
Exactly. It's just safer, don't get in trouble. And segueing to scooters, because what goes better with a glass of wine than being in the back of a Vespa? Can you rent right? I feel like I've seen that on the little, like the...
For sure, yeah. As long as you're not driving that Vespa.
That's
have
true.
A glass of wine.
That's definitely not the limit. But yes, renting a scooter.
Yes.
That is something that you often see, and I think it's a classic in Italy. Like, oh, I'm going to go to Italy and I'm going to rent a scooter. Like when I say scooter, I do mean Vespa. I don't mean like the little...
A moped.
Yeah. No.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes. Yes, I'm talking about moped, not electric scooter. Like a Lime scooter or something like that you might see around Rome.
Yes.
Which are also called scooters.
Yes.
Also not talking about Razor scooters, interestingly. So yes, you can rent one. Not a problem. With your driver's license, also not a problem, because the normal driver's license in Italy, it's called the B license, allows you to drive any scooter, moped, up to 50cc engine. Anything over that will require you to have a motorcycle license from your country, your home country, and an IDP. So you can absolutely rent a small scooter if you want to get around Rome, Naples, Milan, what have you. Along the Amalfi Coast, you can find these scooter rentals as well, and they just sort of like, yeah, hop on. It goes very slow, and everybody behind you will be wondering why you're going so slow, but you can do this. Sometimes they will rent you something larger, and oftentimes it seems to be, from what I found, that it is down to either willful misinterpretation or just misinterpretation, where they think you have a motorcycle license and rent you something with a larger than 50cc engine up to 125cc, which is larger.
Do you know what's standard on a classic Vespa?
I think when you're thinking like classic, like, oh, I see people getting around 50.
Okay.
Larger than that, like when you see the kind of nicer ones in Rome and Naples, you're like, that's like a little speedy thing. That is up to 125. It's somewhere between 50 and 125. I think motorcycles tend to be around the 150 range, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know anything about motorcycles, but I know that to be on the highway, you can't have smaller than 150 as an engine.
So you can't take a Vespa on a highway.
Exactly.
Got it.
You can take them on country roads, but not a highway.
But you can take a Vespa on the Amalfi Coast Road.
Yes, because it is not a highway.
Got it.
It is just a state street is what it is called.
Okay.
To that point, though, you definitely want to check to your scooter rental agency. I don't know if any big companies like Avis, Europcar, all the major car rentals, I don't think they also do scooters. Usually
I haven't seen that. Yeah, it's usually a separate business.
Exactly. So you might want to ask them where you can take the scooter. Like in Salerno, they might let you take it all the way to Positano. They might say, no, that's insane. That's way over there. You can only take it as far as Vietri sul Mare, or, not even on the Amalfi Coast at all. It also doesn't seem like they ask you if you know how to drive a motorcycle.
Or a scooter.
Right. They just assume you do. So if you don't, I would highly recommend booking some lessons and then renting. Don't just rent and be like, I'm sure I will figure this out.
Right.
How hard can it be? Honestly, I don't think it's very hard, given the fact that I haven't seen a single person know how to drive a scooter in Italy. They just sort of get on and gun it and hope that they'll get where they're going.
Yeah, I would say that if you want to rent a scooter on any vacation, to go ahead and learn how to drive one in your home country.
100%.
If you don't know somebody who knows how to drive one and who can teach you. I know that in Savannah, there was like a Harley a dealership that would teach you how to drive a motorcycle or a scooter for, I'm not sure how much it cost, but if you don't know where to find lessons, obviously you can Google it, but a good place to start might be like a local motorcycle place.
That is true. That's a great idea.
Thank you.
Because there are some like moped lessons you can take here in Italy, not just at an auto school, but like just, especially if it's a smaller 50cc and you have a driver's license and you have an IDP, you can get like an experience.
What is an IDP?
International driver's permit.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you for reminding me. Try not to use all this lingo. But they can give you lessons,
Okay.
not necessarily at a rental, but just in general. However, I think it is much smarter to know before you come and feel really confident with it. Obviously, the same sort of all the usual things. If you get in an accident, there's the insurance. Make sure you have a credit card to cover that, or that you bought their insurance. It's a lot of the same stuff. Take pictures of it, but all the nicks and the scrapes.
Yeah, and also check whenever I did light research on this. Whenever you're renting a scooter, check that business's website. Most of the ones that I found, I was looking for, as an example, in Sorrento. If you damage the vehicle, that is not covered by any insurance. You will have to pay for that. So if you have extra insurance on top of that, that will pay for that. But the standard insurance that you get, I think, as you mentioned in the previous episode, for any rental car, doesn't cover damage.
That is just the third-party liability. So if you hit something, it covers that person's car or scooter. It does not cover the one you're on. You will have to pay for that out of pocket unless, yes, you get the more comprehensive insurance. Lastly, you do absolutely need to wear a helmet at all times. It is super illegal to drive a scooter without a helmet in Italy. Even in Naples, it is not commonly done. Sometimes you will see people for sure, but by and large, people have a helmet on for, well, safety, obviously, and then for not getting a huge fine for no reason. Earlier, you mentioned automatic versus manual. So let's talk about that. Yes, you absolutely can drive an automatic in Italy. You can rent an automatic in Italy. It used to be you could only rent like certain luxury brands, Land Rover, or not. I mean, it's not luxury, but they have the really nice big Land Rovers. Audi really popularly had a lot of automatic cars you could rent here. More and more frequently, you can now rent sort of there a lot of cars that have an automatic or a manual gearbox. So you're not limited to just these really expensive car rentals. You can kind of do like the Toyota Yaris, and that's super cheap, and they have an automatic gearbox. It's super, super simple. It's also kind of becoming more common in general in Italy to see automatics. A lot of people just prefer them given the fact that you don't have to worry about it when you're driving. So yes, do not worry too much when you are considering renting. If you're like, I don't know how to drive manual, there's not going to be available for me. Just mark it on the box that you will need an automatic and see what's available and rent one. There's no problems. They're also pretty cheap. Second is gas. You have maybe heard that gas in Europe is more expensive. If you are already from Europe or the UK, you already know this because it's probably expensive where you are too. Right now in Italy, we're paying a lot for gas. It's about €2 per liter on average, depending where you go. Sometimes it's up to 210, 215. Sometimes you get lucky, it's like 190.
And how many liters are in a gallon?
So for the US gallons, it's about like 3.8 liters to the gallon. I think for imperial gallons or UK gallons, it's 4.5 liters to a gallon. So just for math, it's 4 liters to a gallon, makes it super simple. So it's about €8 per gallon of gas with the exchange rate. Depending, the exchange rate is usually $1.20 to €1. So it's somewhere in the range of $9.50 to $10 per gallon of gas. So depending on where you're from in the States, it's about double of what we're used to paying in the States.
Or more.
Or more, for sure. If you're somewhere that only pays like $3.50, but I have been seeing more and more people pay like $5 or $6 for a gallon.
Oh, okay.
It does also seem to be a little bit more in line. If you're from Australia, for example, this does seem to be in line with Australian prices. So this could be very surprising to America, but to everybody else, not so much. Of course, on that note, you can request to rent a hybrid vehicle or an electric vehicle. Electric vehicles are a bit difficult to use in Italy right now, unless you know for a fact you're at a place with charging stations. They are not that widespread yet. Some cities will have a fair amount of charging stations, but once you get out onto the highway, especially into smaller towns, it can be difficult to find a place to charge the car. It's also not something that is freely offered at a lot of hotels, especially just given how expensive electricity is. So hybrids are also common, but they tend to be what's called a light hybrid. So it gets you slightly better mileage, but not like tons better mileage.
Okay.
Just, but it's enough potentially to certainly consider if you're mostly going to be around a city. It can absolutely increase your city mileage. It's just in a highway, it uses the gasoline or the diesel anyway, and yeah, you're just you're still paying basically. So second to last, size.
Yeah.
This is a kind of a big one. If you were coming from the States, especially, I want to say it's big. I don't know the relative sizes of cars in other countries. I'm assuming Canada is probably similar to the States, but it's just like in the United States, we have big roads and we have big cars. It's kind of what it is. It's just like that's what we're all used to. Big roads, big cars. In Italy, smaller roads, sometimes really small roads, and then much smaller cars. Even the autostrada, even like the highways they're not as wide as we find in the States. You don't have as much space in your lane. A bus, for example, or a 18-wheeler absolutely takes up the entire lane.
Yes.
But you can see sometimes in the States where, there's like a couple feet, a foot or two on each side. Not here. It's a lot more like restricted. So smaller cars are nice, and that tends to be what you find at car rental agencies.
And certainly if you're going to be in any, there are so many medieval towns in Italy. If you're going to be in any medieval town, remember that the roads were built for horses and carts. They were not built for modern day cars. So like in the town where we live, there are lots of roads that are impassable for what you would think of as like an American size car. So keep that in mind whenever you're renting. A lot of the ones that are rentable are just smaller cars, but that's just something to have in mind.
And actually on that note, they are smaller cars, even if it's the same model. Like if it's like, I think Toyota Corolla is an example of, they had a US version and a European version, and it was a different size. So people were like, oh, I'm used to my version, not that version. There are a couple of cars like this where they have two different versions for the two different, markets, basically. And even if you're thinking, I'm renting a car, I know what it's like, I have this in the States, it might not be the same. Likewise, there are a fair, like Peugeot, Citroën. There's a few other, I'm thinking of like Europe, Fiat, obviously, but there's some Fiat in the States. But there are a lot of brands you might not be used to seeing, so you might not know what kind of car it is. This is mostly important, as you mentioned, for roads and also for trunk space or backseat space. If you're traveling with a family, if you're traveling, not just a family with kids, but a family with adults especially. My brother's actually visiting tomorrow, and we were all renting a car, and my mom realized that like, we have 5 people in a car.
And 2 of them are absolutely massive.
Yeah. My brother and I are wide, and
you're tall. You're both over 6 feet tall.
But then also like broadish.
Yeah.
Broad.
And your brother has such long legs.
So it's just a question of like, and she was looking up like the, manufacturer's specs for back seats, because she was like, how are you guys going to fit in any of these cars?
You can get many Darcys in a car. You cannot get many Nathaniels in a car.
This is true. This is very true. It limits the amount of cars I can drive too. So keep this in mind if you're 4 adults or 3 adults and you're renting a car and you're thinking, oh yeah, we'll have plenty of space. Not necessarily. As you mentioned, they're very much meant for the Darcy size. 5'5", not the.
Oh, you gave me an extra inch. That's nice of you. Yes, but luggage space is a really big consideration. That's also a consideration, neither here nor there right now. But if you're hiring a car, some people struggle with, if you have 2 giant suitcases per person, there physically might not be room inside of even the biggest van available. If you're 6 people and you all have 2 suitcases, so that is a consideration. If you are renting a car for yourself to drive, just consider how much luggage you're bringing. And
absolutely.
Trunk space,
And that's the thing. Do not count on massive trunks, like especially the sedans, also called Berliners in here, or I think they're called estate cars, I believe, in the UK.
Okay.
The sedan has many names.
I did not know this.
I know. I think it's the same as an estate car, and those like. In the States, we have like these enormous trunks, and you're like, yeah, I could put like 5 bags in there. Here, it's like, dude, I could put a pizza back there, and that's about the extent of it. So keep that in mind just when you are renting a car and you're thinking something small and manageable, and you might be like, oh, that's useless. Thank you. Because genuinely, sometimes the back seats or the trunks are really just decorative at a certain point. They're not useful for anybody. Lastly, damage and credit cards, just very briefly, in case it happens while you're in, renting a car. When you pick up a car, you might see that there's a little bit more damage than you're used to again, I compare this to the United States. I think it's the only other place we've rented a car, but so I don't know in again, UK, Canada, Australia, all the other big listeners. I don't know what sort of condition the cars tend to be in when you rent them. In the States, it's classic that they're pretty close to new. It's very, very few, very little damage to the bodywork and very little wear and tear inside, if any. Obviously, they're all, I believe, all non-smoking at this point, so they don't smell like smoke either. I mean, they're like, oh, that's a brand new car. In Italy, they are not as nice. They're not like a junker, to be clear. It's just, but you're like, oh, that's some damage.
Yeah, they've been around.
They've been around. There's some bumps, some scrapes, some bangs, some clearly somebody put some white out over the white bodywork because they're just like, that's fine. The inside tends to be a little bit more worn and torn. There's a little bit of rubbing or, stitching or something like that. It's like, oh, this is there's maybe some, wearing away on the steering wheel. They tend to stay in use, I think, longer, the rental cars. The reason I want to point this out is because it's very important you take photos of everything that you think is a mark or damage.
Take pictures of, even if you see a little scratch and you're like, that's no big deal. Take a picture of it. Take a picture of every side of the car, every little nick and bump that you see. Take a picture of it before you drive off with the car.
That is something we did the first few times we rented a car, but then by the fourth time, you're like, these are such kind of, junked cars, not junk, but they are a little slightly banged up. So we didn't, the last time we rented a car in Italy, and when we dropped it off, the guy was like, oh, you did all this damage. And we're like, okay, we both know that's not true. Obviously, we live in Italy. Okay.
I think he tried to accuse us of damage that was underneath paint.
Yeah, it was a little... And of course, he was kind of walking back some of it because I'm like, how would we have done that?
He was a shifty fellow.
But still charged us about 650 euros in damages, and which again, our credit card only paid back everything but the tax. So just keep that in mind. Don't rely on their own estimate. Just take pictures. One of the reasons we didn't is because they parked it between two cars. It was really tight. So we didn't think pulling the car out and then taking a bunch of pictures. Do that. It is a huge savior. I talk about credit cards. If you have credit cards, it can cover the damages. Again, it does not cover the tax. So,
meaning some credit cards have a insurance.
Yes,
essentially
rental car, damage, collision or collision waiver, something like that.
If you have a credit card, just check what their standard thing is.
And it should be a pretty high, it should cover the cost of destroying the car. And then, but again, I keep mentioning the tax. It's 26%. So if you owe $1,000 of damages, it often is another 260 on top of that in taxes,
which your credit card will not cover with their insurance,
because they're like, that's not part of the thing, that's already paid to the government, you're not getting that back. So sometimes it's better to get the insurance through the
car rental agency.
Okay. And they've been pretty clear about it with us. When they talk about the insurance, they're like, this is when the comprehensive one especially, they're like, if it comes back at all, 4 wheels and potentially an engine, you're covered. And a lot of them even cover theft. So they really do seem to be pretty comprehensive. Again, these are not brand new nice cars sometimes. So maybe they're kind of yeah, if it gets stolen, fine. If you guys want to steal it, even go for it. So yeah,
this is not us telling you to steal a car.
Man, that's really a theme with this episode. But that is something to keep in mind, that in the States, it can kind of feel like a scam. I know I don't want the car rental, the car rental insurance. That's a scam. Mm-hmm. But here it can be pretty protective.
To get the insurance through the car rental agency could be a good choice.
It can be a great choice. Lastly, the credit card, as I just mentioned, is some car rental agencies, just like in the States, will require you to have a credit card when you book your car. Not all of them, but almost all of them. If you do not have a credit card, you can try to use a debit card. Sometimes you get kind of kicked back and they're like, sorry, that doesn't work. You can reach out to them directly and see if there's a way to do it through a debit card. Sometimes it's just a pretty large down payment that will be refunded back to you when you drop the car back off.
Like a deposit?
Like a deposit, thank you. Or sometimes it's just, we can rent it to you, but at a higher day rate.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind, that it's not that easy. But overall, I will say that rental cars in Italy tend to be pretty cheap. Not as cheap as they were pre-COVID, where it was not uncommon to see a rental car at $5 a day, but 15 a day is not uncommon at all. 10 to 15 a day through like Europe cars, Sicily by cars, something like that, especially in the off season. In the height of the season, it is like 30 or 40 a day. But when we go to the States, sometimes we look at renting a car and it's like 100 to 150 a day. And I'm thinking, wow, I forgot how good we have it.
Conversely, actually, we talked about renting a scooter on the Amalfi Coast. Some of those agencies, because they're more tourist facing, they are 60 to 80 euros a day for a Vespa. So, but that means they're more expensive than a rental car for the day.
Exactly. And going off of that sort of tourism thing. Yeah. Lastly, if you are listening to this and you have children who have a license, but they are over 16 and under 18, or if you're listening to this and you're over 16 but under 18 with a license, you cannot drive in Italy. Everyone in Italy must be 18 to drive, regardless of how long you've had a license, where you got it, et cetera, et cetera. You need a valid driver's license that shows you are older than 18 to drive. Just as a heads up in case you're thinking.
That's good to know.
I don't know, you got to get some experience in. And then last but not least, I'm not going to go into this too much, but road signs, they are fairly self-explanatory and fairly easy to follow. They have very little language on them, like in the sense of there's very little Italian written on road signs. Stop signs are written in English with the word stop typically. But it's not like in the States where one way is literally written out one way, or no passing is literally a sign that says no passing. In Italy and in Europe in general, they all tend to be like non-lingual.
Yeah. Or so what would the one-way sign look like?
Great question, Darcy. It is basically just an arrow pointing in the direction you can go. It is a blue background, white arrow.
Okay.
But like, for example, the most important one, speed limit, it's a circular sign, a red ring, white background, black letters or black numbers. So it just, if you're driving somewhere and you see it just, there's a circle sign, red ring, and it says 60 on a white background, that just means the speed limit is 60. If you see that sign again, but instead of a red ring, it's a black ring, and there's a black stripe, like a seatbelt almost across it, like that just means it's canceled. So you're just like, no longer is the speed limit 60. It then reverts to whatever the speed limit typically is on that road, depending, as we mentioned in that first episode, urban, secondary, principal, or autostrad. Or it'll change to whatever the sign after it says. Okay. But usually anytime you see the black stripe across the sign, it just means end of whatever prescription is what they call it, has been happening. So no passing, speed limits, et cetera, et cetera. But genuinely, by and large, they're fairly self-explanatory. I will throw a link in the description for those of you who might be getting off the highway and doing a bit of country driving, especially in the mountains. Some of the signs are a bit different. There's signs for different turns. There's signs for, just sort of visibility signs, roadwork signs, things like that you might want to kind of pay attention to more. Mm-hmm. But on the highway, it's fairly straightforward. It's the same as it is, I think, pretty much in every other highway, where it's just, there's direction signs and there's, don't go the wrong way and here's a rest area. And it's very, very simple.
Cool.
And that has been how to steal a car in Italy. Is that what we agreed on? No.
This has been, what have we talked about? What it's like to drive and rent a car in Italy?
Driving and renting a car in Italy.
And don't do crimes. Don't do unlawful things.
That's the podcast.
Follow
That's
the law. Be kind.
I love that. Thank you all so much for listening.
Thanks for listening. Tanti abbracci.